No way, Jose.
Red I got you. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe.
No way.
Red I got you. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 6 in its entirety. Now, if you were a fan of Cobra Kai when it first dropped, you know that Season 6 actually dropped in 3 parts. Part 1 was on July 18th, Part 2 was on November 15th, and Part 3 was, you guessed it, February 13th. This marks 1 year since the series ended, and I not only wanted to celebrate the series as a whole, but what it's done for me personally. Cobra Kai started in 2018, and it quickly became one of the best spin-offs of all time. Now, that's not to say that this show is perfect, because it's far from it, but honestly, in terms of some of the movies and TV shows we've seen, this is one of the best sequels that we've seen actually carrying on some of the characters from the previous work, and some of the story arcs from the previous stuff. From the characters, the soundtrack, the themes, the fights, the nostalgia, the show has everything. I started doing this show a long time ago, maybe like 5 years ago, and it's been a while, man. I've done a lot of videos just going over my thoughts on characters, specific arcs, stuff of that nature, and I really liked, just talking with my audience, talking about different, just having different discussions on the show, and, just how I feel about different characters, and just like, how the fights were and stuff like that. I talked about nerfing characters, I talked about characters having plot armor, I talked about characters I love, I talked about characters I hate, and overall it was a good experience. Now, I know I already did videos on parts 1 and 2. Now, if you haven't seen those videos yet, go check them out at some point. But I wanted to make part 3, and I wanted to condense all of it into one video, so that when you wanted to learn my thoughts on the entire season, the fights, the themes, the music, the characters, you could just refer back to this one video. Don't worry, guys, I was not going to abandon part 3. I just needed to change the format of the video. But without further ado, let's just get into it, honestly. Let's talk about the season. Now, I do think Season 6 is one of the weaker seasons, so I will have to talk about some of the criticisms I have with it. Now, the season basically starts with everyone going back to their normal lives after defeating Cobra Kai in the previous season. Miguel and Robbie are cool now. Johnny and Daniel haven't started up their beef yet. The LaRussos are finally happy again after experiencing World War III, not only in their own home in Season 3, but in Season 5 in the dojo. And Chosen is just, well, Chosen. Hawk and Dimitri are cool in the beginning of the season, but then, the rest of the season happens and Dimitri is a douchebag. Anthony and Kenny are on rocky footing, but at least they don't bully each other, so that's a plus. There's not much I really have to say about Miguel and Sam in the beginning, honestly, because these first 5 episodes, there really isn't much for them to do. There's not really a huge overarching storyline or anything of that nature. So honestly, it's just kind of them just existing. Obviously, Miguel and Sam have to think about stuff that they're going to do after high school, like college and stuff like that, but that has nothing to do with the relationship. I mean, you could say there's the fact that Miguel wants to go to Stanford and, Sam wants to go, to Okinawa, which we find out later on at the end of the series, but as of right now, there's really no build up to that, and honestly, it wasn't really much of an issue for Miguel to begin with, or Sam, the relationship dynamic. So honestly, there's just not really anything of interest in this whole season. Now, honestly, I think Tori and Robbie are a significantly better relationship, not only because they have better chemistry, but because they do a lot more in this season. Obviously, I was upset with Tori when she made the decision that she made at the end of the, part 1 at least. And if you haven't seen my video talking about that, you could go check it out. But I feel like Tori's internal conflict is a lot more interesting in this season than literally anything Miguel or Sam do damn near in the entire season. I do like how Miguel and Robbie try to help Sam and Tori try to fix their beef. Because Miguel and Robbie, they became cool last season, so they're having a lot more time to, talk to each other, hang out and stuff like that. Now, even though they don't get much screen time actually hanging out or talking or anything of that nature, I do like that they're at least cool for most of the season, and they only have a little bit of conflict towards the end of part 1 and a little bit in part 2, but for the most part they're on the same team. The one thing I really hate about the show sometimes is the forced conflict, when it comes to Johnny and Daniel, or in this season with Hawk and Dimitri. But I will say that Tori and Sam's beef in the beginning of this season is more interesting than like all of the other stuff. Mainly because we've seen these characters naturally become enemies throughout the series, and it goes all the way back to like season 2 when Tori was first introduced. Johnny and Daniel's beef is basically played out at this point, and Hawk and Dimitri are beefing for literally no reason. Now going back to Chosen, I actually really like how we get to see some of his internal conflict, where like he wants to be with Kumiko, but obviously, you know, he tried to kill Kumiko in Karate Kid 2, so she is not going to accept him, obviously. Like, I think it makes logical sense. So that makes him really depressed, and that makes him not want to go back to Okinawa. You know, I really also like that he wants to stay and help with the Sekai Tekai just so Miyagi's legacy is actually fulfilled. So he wants to fight Johnny just so he can keep the Miyagi-Do name. I really like the fact that we get redemption arcs for both Johnny and Chosen that not only feel authentic, but help us get a different perspective on everything that's happened throughout these past like 30-something years of not only the Karate Kid franchise, like the trilogy, but Cobra Kai. Some of the best characters in fiction are usually the ones that are antagonists, or like you can consider them villains in general, if like they're the main villain of the movie or TV show. And that's usually because their character arcs are very much like an example of characters that are morally bankrupt in the beginning, but make up for it in the end. That's usually because the reason that they become a villain is usually because of circumstance. Maybe they were lied to. Maybe it's because their family is evil, so like they are a part of their lineage and they have to kind of carry out the legacy, or something of that nature. It could also be because, like, I don't know, something like they were bullied as a kid, so they want to pick on other people to make themselves feel better, or maybe they feel like it's beneficial to them. So, you know, being an asshole is just something that they like doing because, you know, they're used to it. Two great examples of characters that, you know, have redemption arcs that people still look fondly on to this day are Zuko from The Last Airbender and Steve from Stranger Things. Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked, so let me go back to Johnny. Now, I think Johnny has a great arc, not only in this season, but in this episode, because he's really starting to come to terms with the fact that John Kreese is very much attached to his version of Cobra Kai, or Eagle Fang, however you want to put it. But he realizes that the name isn't important. It's about the people behind the dojo, the people that are actually teaching the students and the students themselves. Collectively, they can help the students win the Sekai Tekai. They just need to lock in. I'm glad that both Chosen and Johnny came to this conclusion, and they ended up settling their beef exactly like that. I also do like that Robbie's actually trying to genuinely help Kenny after all the stuff that, you know, he did in season 5. I'm just really upset that Kenny got 2v1'd by 2 girls. Like, that was a bad look, honestly. Like, bro didn't even stand a chance. Like, oh my god. I'm also glad that Sean ended up talking Kenny into joining Miyagi-Do to begin with, because honestly, Silver's version of Cobra Kai is like the most toxic thing, like ideology-wise, in the entire show. Kenny was really like, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And then Sean was like, are you stupid? Are you 12? Bro, join Miyagi-Do, stop being childish. Sadly, we never see Sean ever again after this. Then we see Kreese show up in South Korea to meet Kim. Well, technically both Kims. The younger Kim, that's the daughter, and then the father. That's not only the origin of how Terry and Kreese learned karate, but it's also how they met Kim. I still think it makes absolutely no sense how this man is literally a wanted fugitive, and he somehow goes from America to Korea without being spotted, without being jailed to any degree. Nobody spots him, nothing, when he was literally in the newspaper. Like, I guess. Basically, he's just asking to recruit some of the students for the Sekai Tekai, and I guess Kim is just cool with that for some reason. I do also like that during the college storyline during these 5 episodes, Miguel, Hawk, and Dimitri actually meet up with Kyler and Brooks, and they basically squashed the beef after, you know, everything that happened in the last, like, 6 seasons, or 5 other seasons. But I don't know, it feels kind of rushed to some extent. I mean, obviously with Brooks, he's just, he was scared of Hawk, I bet. Like, honestly, after that ass whooping, and they even do like a flashback and everything, I love it. I absolutely love it. Cause I love season 3 Hawk. Like, that was a good arc and a good redemption arc. But Kyler specifically has been such an asshole to where I'm just like, what would make you change all of a sudden? Like, I get that people grow, people change, like, time, you know, changes a lot, but like, just what was the mindset? Like, what made you do it exactly? Like, I just don't understand that. I mean, I guess you could say the dude that was bullying Kyler in his new frat is kind of the reason for that. But honestly, I don't really see that as a reason, because, like, you could easily write Kyler to where, like, he's still a piece of shit, but, like, the guy who's bullying him makes him look weak. So he tries to inflict it onto others, kind of like a bully's, origin. Like, usually bullies are created because they're either something's happening at home or they're getting bullied by someone else. So I think it makes logical sense for Kyler to still be one, but it's whatever. It's not that deep. But going to the Johnny storyline, I really like that Johnny's trying to step up and he's actually trying to build a life for not only himself, but his, Carmen and the baby, and, for the future. But I was just really annoyed at Johnny, speaking to that real estate agent, because, like, honestly, like, Johnny just can't speak like a normal person to save his life, and that's coming from me. I do really like that fan of Johnny's in episode 2 actually showed up, and he was, like, geeking out and stuff like that when he saw Johnny, and he actually helped him get a sale on the house. So, it's really cool, because obviously you can't talk to a real estate agent to save his goddamn life. I also found it funny how Chosen was trying to save him at one point when he was talking to the real estate agent, but he just wasn't budging. I would cover this stuff in South Korea with Kreese, but, like, it's like, Kreese, like, you should be dead. Like, you got bit by a freaking cobra. Like, you're like 90. You should, oh my god. I do also like that Miguel, Hawk, and Dimitri ended up defending Kyler from that one bully at his frat, and they mopped the floor with everyone, as they should. I also really like that conversation that Johnny and Daniel had, and it really shows that, Johnny's trying to change, like, he's taking steps in order to do that, and, I'm glad eventually Daniel actually gives him a job at the dealership, so that's really cool. The next episode is just Johnny and Daniel talking, everyone having the baby shower, and Daniel getting splattered with the baby reveal, paint, revealing that it's a girl, which is, he had a great line. It's like, I'm getting too old for this shit. Now, this is also the episode where we get introduced to Quan, our favorite crash out. Obviously, he's shown to be very formidable, and obviously he was built up to be one of the strongest characters in the series, at least for the teen, like, younger fighters that are, like, not senseis. I think it makes logical sense that he's also Robbie's foe, because at the end of the day, like, Robbie's only nemesis was, like, his own friends in, like, seasons 1 and 2, and then, like, Miguel. And of course, Kreese wants Quan to harness his rage and psychopathy, because Kreese has both of those things. And that eventually leads to both of their deaths. Of course, Kim isn't okay with this, because she's actually spent more time trying to train Quan, understanding how he is, how he's very impulsive, very vengeful, very rageful. And, Kreese sees that and he's like, oh, here's an opportunity to screw up another kid. So it just shows the difference between the two. Also, this is the episode where they start the whole, like, Sam and Tori have to be, like, angry at each other again, but I don't know, it's just really stupid. I don't even care about this. And of course Devin's a part of it, because Devin is like the worst part of this entire season. It's like her and Dimitri, they're fighting for last place. I do like that after that really idiotic plot line where, like, Sam and Tori had to, like, be mad at each other again, we actually get a real conversation between the two. I think this conversation was actually better than the one that Miguel and Robbie had after their fight in season 5, episode 5. It's not that it was necessarily bad, it's just the fact that, they didn't really go into depth in terms of, like, all the events that happened throughout seasons, like, 1 to 4, leading up to 5, for them to, like, have that conversation. Obviously, they talked about, the school fight and the fact that, they both made mistakes on both ends, but, like, I feel like they didn't go, like, they didn't talk about everything that happened. I feel like with Sam and Tori, they talked about multitude of different things, just leading up to their beef, and, just like really everything. I feel like with Miguel and Robbie, they should have talked about the idea that Johnny was one of the main reasons that they were fighting to begin with, not just the school fight. Like, it was many different reasons to begin with. Now, I just want to cover this real quick because I have a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people may think when it comes to the whole Daniel storyline. Now, the whole Daniel storyline, with Miyagi and the fact that he realizes that Miyagi did some, like, sketchy stuff back in the day, and he did not tell Daniel about it. I actually am fine with the fact that Daniel is kind of upset with the fact that he didn't like inform him on, you know, some of the mistakes that he made in the past, or that he kind of just didn't talk much about his like younger life, like his life growing up essentially, and some of the mistakes he made, only because like Daniel's made mistakes, so like he could have related to him in that way, and it could have helped him like understand that you don't have to be perfect and that you can make mistakes. Now, I don't think this is a bad thing for Miyagi's character, only because I think at the end of the day, it makes sense for him to not want to share, you know, his private life to Daniel. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to, but I think in some circumstances, like, it could have helped him. Now, I was kind of worried that they were going to assassinate Miyagi's character, but honestly, I don't think they did assassinate him, only because, like, the stuff that he did, you know, there were mistakes, and, like, for example, when he killed the one guy in the Sekai Tekai, that was a mistake, and when he was stealing the necklace back, obviously that was from his mom and stuff like that, or I think it was grandmom, or something of that nature, right? So, that is just fine to me, because you're taking something that was stolen. I also find it funny how they were like, oh my god, 6 fighters? We can only have 6 fighters for the Sekai Tekai? It's like, there's only 6 of you on that damn team that are good enough to do anything to begin with. Most of y'all are trash. Most of y'all are freaking extras. And of course, the whole next episode is everyone trying to prove that they're not an extra. They even do shots in the show to show that we obviously know that Miguel, Robbie, Tori, and Sam are obviously going to be a part of the 6. Like, there's no question of that. And then the next thing would just be picking your next 2, and it would be Hawk and freaking Kenny. Like, I'm not picking Dimitri, I'm not picking Devin. Freak both of them. Basically, the rest of the episode is just, you know, characters training, you know, to prove that they're not extras, Dimitri being a loser once again, and then characters training once again. And you got even freaking Anthony talking about, oh, I can't throw hands, oh, I get a bloody nose, like I don't care, like, you're trash, like, get off the freaking screen. And then we have that scene where Johnny and Mike are fighting, and it's just like, why are y'all fighting that close to the saw? Like, somebody could get hurt. And I was always looking at that scene like, bro, somebody could die, like, for real. Like, cause you two are like senseis. Like, what, like, basically, like, why are y'all, whatever. And I would like the heart-to-heart more that they had, you know, where Mike was basically, you know, just spilling out his guts, spilling out his feelings about the fact that, you know, karate has basically kind of stirred up the pot with him again and made him, you know, more angry, more like vicious, more wanting to fight more again. Kind of like how he was in Karate Kid 3. So you can kind of see some similarities in terms of like how his character has progressed and how he's trying to fight his demons essentially. And I would like this conversation more, this heart to heart, if it wasn't about Devin. And then the next scene is literally Kenny shitting his pants because of Devin being a piece of shit, and Hawk literally getting bodied because of Dimitri also being a piece of shit. So it's like, honestly, now that I think about it, this might be one of the worst episodes in the show. Like, you make the whole episode about something that's so obvious. You ruin the chance that Hulk honestly should have with being in the Sekai Tekai in the to begin with, when he obviously should have been in there. And that's basically what, even Daniel said that. You ruin Dimitri even more, and you ruin Devin even more. And then you ruin the conversation with Mike. Like, it's just like this, oh my god, this episode is so bad. I swear, Devin literally made the beef between Kenny and Anthony so much worse when it really did not need to. It didn't need to be. Like, legitimate, I could have gone without this rivalry in this season. In the beginning of episode 5 is basically just Tori being manipulated by Kreese into joining Cobra Kai again because, well, I honestly, like, again, how the freak did Kreese even, like, go from South Korea to freaking America? Like, he went there, then he went back. Then he went back again, right? Because he needs to go back to his students just so he can fly them out to Barcelona. I don't understand. This is also the episode where Johnny and Daniel's beef starts again. Like I said earlier, it was just a matter of time. I mean, I get being internally biased when it comes to your students, especially like, you know, when you have spent more time with them than you have like with the Miyagi-Do students, specifically for Johnny. And then with Daniel, it would be obviously he wants his son, he wants Sam, and he wants like Robbie to be up there. And then the next scene is basically, you know, Miguel might not get into Stanford, next. No, the next scene is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the entire show. Honestly, I think Peyton List is probably the best actor in this entire season, and it's because of this scene where she actually has to act out her mom dying, and I think it's the best acting in the entire, not only first part, but probably the whole season. Honestly, the only other thing that tops this is the scene after this in the same episode when she's fighting Sam and, you know, she has her crash out moment. But other than that, I mean, yeah. I'm also glad that those theories about like who killed her didn't actually come to pass, because like at the end of the day, I really hate the idea that like Terry killed her or Kreese killed her or just some stupid crap like that. Some people even theorize that like Kreese was like Tori's actual like dad or something. I don't know, some stupid crap like that. I'm glad that wasn't the case. Honestly, the only actually important scenes in this episode are the ones with Tori, and, you know, it makes sense because, like, this is the arc where she eventually, you know, joins Cobra Kai, you know, afterwards, and it also is setting up the cliffhanger because, like, if you were watching when the episodes were being released or the, you know, parts, this is, like, setting that up when she joins Cobra Kai. And, you know, honestly, it's like, when you see the flashbacks with her mother and stuff like that, you see how much of an impact she had on her and like how much she was fighting for and how much she's lost. This is also the episode where Miguel and Robbie fight again, and you know, we already know that they're not gonna let Miguel win against Robbie again, because then it would be like the 16th time. So yeah, they gotta give Robbie one, at least one. And then after their fight, you get the scene where, again, I said it's one of the best acted things in all of Cobra Kai. You get, you know, Tori actually revealing the fact that her mother died, and everyone has like a, you know, a gasp and is kind of just like shocked and everything like that. And, you know, she wants to fight Sam. She almost killed Sam, actually, to be honest with you. And then they all have, you know, that debate about like, oh, should she have fought and stuff like that. And even Johnny and Daniel are arguing about it. And honestly, I really hate the forced drama in this show. Like, and this was one of the examples that I brought up earlier about Johnny and Daniel just like fighting over nothing. Like, it's really stupid. Because honestly, I brought this up in one of my previous videos. If you haven't seen it, it's basically where I go over part 1 and I go over the fact that Tori did not need to join Cobra Kai, and she honestly could have fought if she just fought one of the senseis. Honestly, I go more into depth with it in my previous video, so just go watch that. So then, you know, Robbie becomes captain, Sam becomes captain, and then the next scene is Daniel realizing that Mr. Miyagi was actually in the Sekai Tekai. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying, where like I kind of defend Daniel a little bit by like Mr. Miyagi never gave him enough information on like who he was, what he did, you know, the accomplishments he had. And I guess again, it goes back to like he did kill someone during the tournament, so like having that in hindsight makes more sense. But it's like you can understand from Daniel's perspective why like just having this information without the context would hurt him. And then the end of the episode and the end of part 1 is just Tori obviously betraying literally everyone for reasons. And of course, Kreese's cringy ass is like, let the games begin. Like, shut up, Grandpa.
No way, Jose.
Red Hot Gotti, come subscribe, like, come subscribe, like, come subscribe, like, come subscribe.